Introducing a keynote conversation with Michael D. Eisner, moderated by Sportico's founder and editor-in-chief, Scott Soshnick.
Hello, everybody. Thanks again for joining us. I will not waste time on introductions. Mike, there's no need for that. I will give you a little list of things we might touch on. And this is maybe, and we're going to meander, so wherever we go, we go. But Disney, ESPN, streaming, Portsmouth, Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, Tom Brady, Southampton, tariffs, Mighty Ducks, Angels, and yes, summer camp. You probably weren't expecting that last one, but I definitely want to get your take on that. But Disney earnings were yesterday. I'm sure you saw the numbers. They beat expectations. A new theme park in Abu Dhabi. Your take on what we heard from Disney?
Well, it seemed pretty strong. It's a strong company, well run, terrific management. Bob Iger's done a great job. I'm kind of glad I'm not there because the flight to Abu Dhabi is too long and the time change is too great. It was tough enough, China, Japan, and Europe. I think they're smart in leaning into their projects that have a moat around them, basically the theme parks. It's steady, it's great, people love them. The filmed entertainment is more up and down. Where what happens with streaming, although they did very well with streaming, the changing of the media, sports, where that stands, which is very important to Disney. They paid a lot of money for the NBA, for instance, recently. I just don't know how much is announced, so I'm going to be careful. I'm not going to say what it is. It's a lot more than when I was there, and I complained about it then. So actually, I was sitting right here with Bob Iger the other night. We just happened to be sitting next to each other. He was thrilled to have it. He has to have it for ESPN. So don't count out Disney. I mean, the changing of the media marketplace has put a little pressure on them, conversations about tariffs and all that. Management change, replacing Bob. All of that is typical of any company, and there's a lot of talent in the management there. I'm very happy that what we started in the 80s, Bob continued with. Hopefully whoever is picked will do that and not decide to do other things that are not consistent. But I think the companies that I worked at, ABC, which is now Disney, Paramount, which is now part of CBS, all are doing well. Portsmouth, doing well.
But you want, as owner of Portsmouth, you want people to pay you for your content.
My soccer content?
Your soccer. But you want rights fees, and of course we know what the EPL rights fees are. Where do you see, I hear people like David Zaslav saying it's too damn expensive. But you say Disney has to have it. Who's got the leverage in the talks between I've got the games that you need and I've got the money to pay you, or don't have the money to pay you?
The leverage moves around. The content always has the real leverage in the end of the day. In the era of first 2 broadcast and 3 broadcast networks, there was a lot of you'll never walk in this town again leverage that the broadcasters had. The government came in and put in, I won't get in too much. Well, in 1948, the government broke apart Paramount. You couldn't have distribution and content together. In the 70s, the government came in and broke apart the 3 networks having distribution and content. That's all been gone away. Now it's a open field for everybody. People like Netflix have a lot of leverage. In the end of the day, though, I've always been an advocate that content is king, and I would rather be the content owner than the distributor. I've been both. It's more fun to buy than to sell. It may be more economically wonderful to sell. I never minded once I went to out of ABC and went to Paramount and Disney, sitting in the reception area, and I would just sit there with everybody else and think to myself, just show me the money. I don't mind sitting here. Because if I can get the sale, if I can sell BoJack Horseman, if I can sell, Down Around Beverly Hills, if I can sell Saturday Night Fever, that's good.
So give me the landscape overview. If you've got ESPN, used to be in 100+ million households, we know the sub fees, great. Those households are coming down, everybody's moving to streaming. The competitors with toes in the water are sitting on lots of cash. These leagues will go to the highest bidder. Are they in a good position because of legacy brand, customer loyalty? Where is ESPN in terms of their ability to compete for these rights in the next 5, 10, 15 years?
Well, I can't really comment on the negotiations that are going on. One, I wouldn't until I'm not there. But I can give you my view, which really resulted in why we looked all over the world and finally bought Portsmouth, which is demand viewing. When I grew up at ABC, it could be Marcus Welby, it could be Happy Days, it could be the evening news, it could be sports, of course. Today, there is no command viewing, even for the biggest movies, except for sports. Sports has all the leverage, which is why the MLB and NFL are very rich, and why probably everybody in this room is looking at sports, because the media drives the financials, and the media has to have sports. You need a sports program to promote the rest of your schedule, to promote everything. So it became really clear. It started to become clear with cable, but it really became clear with streaming. You better lock up your sports if you are a distributor, if you are a financier. Now it's gotten out of control. You can actually go nuts thinking you have to be in sports and overpay and join the group of Chevy dealers that want their name in the paper because they now own a sports team.
We saw what happened when NBC said we don't need the NFL.
Well, NBC, yeah, we said that about Monday Night Football too, which was stupid. Luckily, we could have gotten, never mind, we could have gotten Sunday night. Bob and I decided, no, you do make mistakes. But depending on where the financial people are, the mistakes could be really pretty big. And you can think, it all depends who the buyers are. I mean, they're buyers from very rich countries who don't care. Manchester City, they don't play by the rules. They don't care. They have all the money in the world. They put the Emirates logo on the shirt, and they pay $60 million pounds.
That's not financial fair play? Is that what you're saying?
Financial fair play is a myth, and there are teams that try to get around it, and they're very important teams, and there are also teams that stick with it. But it's complicated. I don't want to get in too much trouble here, because we're going to be playing Rex.
We're going to get into Ryan and Rob. We will.
Well, they did something that we didn't do. We have the same story. We took over Portsmouth. There are a lot of reasons why we loved Portsmouth. It had been relegated 2 or 3 times. It had gone into receivership. It was owned by the fans. That appeals to me. I like going into something that's down and out, and then you can build it up rather than paying at the top and watching it go down. They have that same story. I decided that I was not going to be followed by cameras. I was not going to be a Hollywood person.
But you understand, to me, I guess to the audience, that seems so antithetical to who you are and were that you were like, no, it's too Hollywood. I don't want to do that.
Well, I've made that mistake a couple of times. So we owned the Ducks, which we started, and we sold out every game on Sunday afternoon, 17,194 people. We had family entertainment. We broke all the rules of hockey. We had Darkwing Duck coming down from the ceiling until he jumped over fire and caught on fire, so that stopped that. But anyway,
everybody needs a disco demolition night.
We really did it, and we were sold out. And then we got into the Stanley Cup. The person that was running it for Disney said to me, "We can't do this anymore for the Stanley Cup. We have to be a serious hockey team." And we lost, but that was irrelevant. So we never did that stuff again, and we went from 17,000 to 14,000 to 12,000. I gave up what I thought was a good idea. So when we got to Portsmouth, I did not want to be the Hollywood stereotype. Buying an English team, we were very early. We were one of the first, if not the first, other than like Liverpool. And I did not want to be seen as what I was. I thought we should be a serious, and that was the correct decision. I'm also not a movie star. And when Ryan Reynolds did the same thing, it worked. Now, next year, they got promoted. We stayed in the championship. We will be playing them twice. We'll be playing Birmingham twice, the Tom Brady's team. We'll be playing Southampton twice, which is the giant rival.
So how many cameras will be in tow?
We will have 6 cameras, and Sky will have 6 more. It's already, I mean, you can watch an EFL game. Certainly you can watch a Premier League game from NBC, but the EFL games with Sky Television are absolutely first-rate broadcasting. So it's growing. I mean, if you want to talk about Portsmouth, it's just the opposite of what we just heard. It's a city of 300 people. We are it. There's no other team. There's no rugby. There's no cricket. Religion is pretty much gone. It is Saturday. The newspaper, which only survives because of doing 4 pages every day on the team. It is a 130-year-old franchise. It is not a trained audience to sing. They've been doing it for hundreds of years. We're sold out. When we were not doing so well, one day we looked up and there was a plane going across with an ad following it saying Eisner's out. 6 weeks later, we walked on water. It is very emotional. We've worked our way up, as Wrexham has, quicker than we did. But see, on financial fair play, you can spend a percentage of your revenue. So they, next year, are going to have a $25 million player budget, which is a lot for the championship, because they have the Netflix money, and that counts as revenue. So we will be copying them to a degree. So it's complicated. I don't think there's any team in the 92 teams in the Premier League and the EFL that doesn't lose money. I mean, every team. So it's you got to think hard about how you invest. Do you want to do it the way we did it with the Angels? We did it with the Ducks. We did it with our movie business. You get young, new players, young, new actors. And for instance, both Paramount and Disney, we had the lowest negative cost of any studio. We were number 1 or 2 for 20 years. Warner Brothers, which was the high end, was number 1 or 2. So there are 2 strategies. There's a strategy of going for it, which was Steve Ross's strategy at Warner Brothers, sending empty planes with a dog to Hawaii to be with Steven Spielberg because he missed his dog. And we would tell Steven to stay at a Marriott, or low-end Marriott, or not forget Marriott.
The Residence Inn.
Whatever,
yeah.
Not the whatever. It's just a different strategy, and they both work. But it's the only strategy that I think survives in what we're doing and what we did with the Ducks and, the Angels. We won the World Series. We won the Stanley Cup. Because I learned, what was his name? In the first year we owned the Angels, Matt Vaughn, first baseman for the Red Sox, I think.
Mo Vaughn.
Mo Vaughn.
Yeah.
we have to do what you were talking about. It's L.A., we need that. Get Mo Vaughn, $100 million guaranteed. So I go to the opening game. We've just bought the team. First pitch, first inning, fly ball. Mo Vaughn is on first base. It kind of floats into the right, and Moog's there, and he falls into the dugout, and he breaks his leg, and he's gone for the season. We have to pay him. And then when he's finally healthy the next year, he supposedly has an accident working out for the new season. I happen to know he was on a snowmobile. So we lost him for the next season. And we wrote off $100 million. That was the end of that strategy.
Yeah.
I thought that was like painful.
Yeah. But I can do a quick question right here and play off something you said and find out from the viewer perspective where everybody is in this room. You said Marcus Welby. Raise your hand if you know who Marcus Welby is.
Marcus Welby.
Raise your hand if you know who Marcus Welby is. These are your linear TV viewers.
Well, they're old.
Raise your hand if you have no idea who Marcus Welby is. Here are your streaming fans.
If your hands are up, you're old.
There it is. I do this all the time, so I appreciate it. So why in the hell would a publicly traded company buy a sports team? Doesn't seem to work.
Absolutely cannot, should not. It's the stupidest thing in the world. I've been there. First of all, if you play to win, you lose money if you have the Mo Vaughn idea, and your shareholders are really upset. The Ducks and the Angels were the smallest part of the Walt Disney Company. I mean, infinitesimal. And that's all anybody wrote about.
I was told that Rupert Murdoch dumped the Dodgers because he just hated seeing the red on the balance sheet.
It didn't really affect his bottom line or our bottom line.
But he hated seeing the red.
It's just that the shareholders don't understand why you would do that. And if you did it for the shareholders, I could never go to Orange County because they hate you. Why do you have the worst hockey players, et cetera? That's why you have to do. So everybody thinks that we went into hockey because my kids played hockey. And Bruce McNall talked me into it because that wasn't, and one of them is over there. That is not why we did it. We did it because we were in Anaheim. Gene Autry's widow was saying she was going to move the team. We needed $1 billion of infrastructure in Anaheim to build a second theme park. We did that as a favor, so to speak, to Anaheim and the city council. The same thing was true. They built this arena and no team. Donald Sterling told me that there are not enough people, there are too many pigs in Anaheim, and you can't get anybody to go to a game. And I said, well, you don't get anybody to go to a game in the sports arena. He didn't like that. So they had nothing. And they didn't have a basketball team. They didn't have a hockey team. So we put in a hockey team, called it the Pond, and we got our second park built. And as soon as we could, because of all the crap we were taking on these two teams, financially, I mean, winning the World Series was one of the most exciting nights of our lives. I mean, that was unbelievable that this team won the World Series. But the letters from shareholders and all of that.
Yeah, Peter Nordstrom told me when they owned the Seahawks, the family used to get cut up credit cards when something unpopular was done with the team. So it's very difficult to be in the corporate world and the sports world. You're not going to make everybody happy.
Right. It's better to have private citizens who are doing it for other kinds of reasons. And the reasons could be financially. I mean, the corporate world is basically quarter by quarter. Me owning Portsmouth, first of all, I haven't owned it 100%. Well, my 3 children own most of it. But anyway, and we can lose money for a while in building an asset. But when you're in a corporation and you're losing money and it's quarter by quarter, every quarter, and your rules are you have to put it, it's just not worth it.
Let's say Portsmouth has the greatest season in the world and you are promoted.
Are we talking about Portsmouth?
Yes. You're promoted. EPL, here we are. How do you compete with the other owners in the EPL?
Well, there are Brexon is competing. There are teams that have moved up and are not quite up to the top six. It's hard. Leicester went up and then they went right down. Mm-hmm. Luton, who is owned by the Stringers, he runs Sony Music. I talked to him. He's gone down twice, but they did something. When you go up, it's like winning in Vegas, and they got a lot of money. And what is the first thing they did? They built a stadium. I would have saved the money and put it into players to stay up. It is very competitive. It's fun,
It's also gut-wrenching. I mean, U.S. owners don't have to worry about promotion and relegation.
Well, they will someday. I mean, my view is...
You think that's definitely coming? Which U.S. sport will be the first to have promotion and relegation?
My view?
Yeah.
Soccer.
MLS?
I think what will happen is there is a second soccer league that is talking about relegation and promotion, just like the ABA, the NBA.
Yeah. I should have said major league. Sorry, yeah.
Eventually, no. The NFL is not going to do that.
Destroy too much value.
We this year, and our women, started very slowly. We were in last place at Christmas. We just went up. And the interest in England on the bottom 6 teams, who's going down, and the top 6 teams, who's going up, which is 12, half the teams, it's unbelievably exciting. And it's where in this country, if you're last, you're not going to sell out your arena in most places. Here, it is electric, here being in England. So that relegation promotion for the fans is excellent. But if you own a team worth $5 billion, do you want to, like the NFL, do you want to be relegated? So that's hard. But in the growth of soccer, I think that's what will take soccer in this country to be a number 1 or 2 sport.
Right, let's close with this, because in our prep call, you were telling me about your book, Camp. You said if you had a stack of resumes, Harvard Business School, and you had a resume on the right side from Camp Kuwaitan, you're going to take the camper. Because you're saying that this camp, and it's a very important piece of the Eisner family life, develops people for life.
Well, I got into camp, and I don't know if I would have gotten into Harvard. So this is speculative. The camp experience, and you're referring to a book I wrote about it, is, especially in a camp that deals in the wilderness, tripping, on canoes, hiking, and all that stuff, into the wilderness for weeks, where you learn teamwork, you learn how to be self-sufficient. You no longer have your mother and your father taking care of you. You're learning all about difficulties, and you grow up with that kind of ethos. And the camp I went to is the oldest camp in America, 120 or 30 years old. Always they do have sports, but the concentration is on tripping. It's a little bit like Disney in a way, the same kind of spirit. So we at Paramount and Warner's were making Disney movies, but we weren't at Disney. So it seemed like from camp, from ABC and Paramount to Disney was like just continuing my camping experience. It was, all about help the other fellow, leadership, attention to details.
You probably found yourself up the stream without a paddle a few times, too.
Did what? Say again?
You probably found yourself up the stream without a paddle a few times, too.
Oh, my God. You would go into headwinds. There'd be storms. Everything would be wet. Your sleeping bag would be wet. It would be miserable. It was too wet to get firewood, so it was hard to make a fire, to make dinner. The tents didn't hold the water. They came up from the bottom. And then the next day it could be, if you left early in the morning when there were not headwinds, because in the early morning it's flat, you could canoe 20 miles without too much trouble. I got lost a few times as a staffman with 8 kids on a mountain, got out of it. I mean, you survived, and it was fake survivor because you never really were in danger. The camp would never want to lose anybody. That would be bad for admissions. So it was a healthy thing, and I thank you for mentioning it. I appreciate that.
Why have you not had your Portsmouth players go to camp? Wouldn't that be better than a regular training camp?
I did have the Portsmouth management go to Disney University to learn how to pick up paper and stuff like that. I did have the Disney Imagineers help in designing stuff at Fratton Park. So I would like them to go to camp. The trouble is it's 8 weeks. I can't afford to lose.
Condense it. We'll give them the 3-day version.
Well, we are at camp. Every Saturday we play a game. At camp you have 2 teams and you pick the players on each team. We pick players. We had a meeting this morning for an hour on next season's transfer window, and my life is about camp. I mean, Disney is camp. The entertainment business, sports, is camp. I mean, a lot of people here are in finance and private equity and stuff like that. They should go to camp. It's more fun. I don't know. I enjoyed it.
Private equity in sports, you like?
I like private equity. We bought the Topps company, the baseball card company and the candy company, and we had a lot of interaction with MLB and NFL, and I know all those people, and that was good. We didn't talk about that, but that is a adjunct of fandom. And now Fanatics has bought that company.
Yeah, what happened with Michael there? Did you see that coming?
Well, that's a hard question because the answer is no. I actually Eric and I had lunch with, without naming him, but somebody that runs a big sports, one of those big ones. And he assured me that no problem. We had been one of the first sponsors. So I kind of relaxed because we were doing a new kind of financing, and we lost it, but we didn't lose it for 3 or 4 years out. And Michael Rubin, clever, he went and included the leagues in the financials. He was better than we were doing that. We were a little cocky that we thought we had the big brand. We were there forever. We still could have survived. We had big international presence with the Champions League and the Premier League and stuff like that. But it was a difficult time. But Michael Rubin needed our management, needed our brand, Topps, and we sold to him, and it was the easiest negotiation I had. He wanted it, we wanted to sell it, and it was done. So I sold Topps. I like Topps, but I like Portsmouth better.
I hear. Michael Eisner, thank you very much.
Thank you.